right, awesome. I will call this meeting of the Grand Marais Planning Commission, our special meeting here today, to order. First thing we'll have to do is adjust the agenda. We'll take out the Gary variance because we do not have a substantial enough quorum in order to run that puppy. So we'll just have the other two. So strike that from the agenda. If I could have a motion to.
Motion to approve the agenda with the removing the Gary variance request.
Yeah, thank you. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, it passes. Going on, anybody here for open forum? It kind of looks like not. So
All right.
we'll move on to our first up is, and were there any comments actually? Sorry, Patrick. I didn't see any, so, okay. All right, so first thing, we have North House variance. If Greg, you wanted to come up and say anything, that'd be great.
So, good to be here. Hi, everybody. Greg Wright, Director of North House.
Joe Barris, Facilities Director at North House.
And we're just here as part of applying for a conditional use permit connected to our intern living space.
Yeah,
Something we've had on campus for a couple decades.
right.
And that's been moved to a new location because turns out living in the middle of a folk school campus and next to a bunch of local businesses isn't quite what it used to be. And so obviously centering them on the other side of the street has been our goal. So here to answer questions.
Oh,
I don't
great.
know how much you want us to talk. I think there's a bunch of information both
Yeah.
the
No,
city
we
put
did.
together.
Yeah, we did get a good amount of information. I mean, certain commissioners have questions, but I have some questions. So, in the location, that building there, is there gonna be any substantial difference on the outside? Like for our people walking by and whatever, are we gonna see anything different?
No. So, and the possible exception to that is on the eastern half of the building, which this permit is not about, which is where instructors will live. It's short-term housing, so the conditional use permit isn't needed for that location. What is now currently a large kind of face of glass may evolve somewhat because it's going to be rescaled and if to try to put a more modern door in, so there's a little bit better weather seal.
Okay.
But the western portion of the building's already been remodeled, and I would guess nobody even knows that the inside changed because the outside didn't.
Right, okay. And then just, for everybody in the broader world knowledge, so the folks that are staying there, are they paying rent to you? Are they lodgers in that sort of way?
Nope. So they're participants in North House's intern program, and so intern program is a volunteer program where they come for 10 months and they receive some benefits as part of their professional development. It might be learning, it might be participating at coursework, it might see how a nonprofit works, or it might be a place to lay down their head and sleep at night. And so it's a benefit that's part of the program. Yeah.
Okay, great. And it has been happening, like we know, on campus. It's just moving to this other building.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So
The issue is the first floor lodging.
correct.
Right.
Which the conditional use permit, as I understand it, is allowed, provided we're not moving commercial space out of the way, and that's the case. This entire building is just used to house instructors in the case of the east side of the building, or in this case, the interns on the other side.
Yeah, I guess that, but so my thinking is I feel like this is just a continuation of the work of the business. And so I'm not even sure, that, I mean, like it's lodging of a kind, right? But it's not quite what people might think, right? It's not a rental, it's not anything like that. These are people that are there to work. And it's not even really workforce housing in a sense. So I just was kind of driving down that road a little bit and was thinking like, well, this feels like they're using one of their buildings and for their business.
Yeah.
Right? And it just so happens that there are going to be people there.
No, I support the idea of providing space for interns and staff in general, because I think businesses, nonprofit and otherwise, just have to do that. Because one of my concerns on this would just be, what would prevent it from being used as a short-term rental down the road, should that be allowed, right? Like if we're, you know, we have said no to first floor lodging for short stay rentals in
Right.
the past.
Yeah.
And so we just wouldn't want to open up that box.
So I
Right,
think that's a great question, and to confirm, you know, so if, let's say North House were to do that. Clearly, that short-term rental wouldn't be in alignment with our mission, therefore, the property could no longer be tax exempt, so therefore, we'd have to rechart the property with the county. Right, I mean, there's a whole bunch
Too
of
many other
reasons why
steps,
we
yeah.
would not run down that road.
And ultimately
Yeah.
just not interested.
Oh, totally. I mean, we need a place for the interns to sleep. I mean,
Gotcha.
that's, right, we
Yeah.
wanna have these this next generation folks be here, investing in North House, investing in Cook County, investing in Grand Marais, cause where does the future come from? From places like the intern program.
For sure.
Yeah.
I just want to be
Yeah.
consistent across, you know, like
Yeah.
how we look at first floor lodging, right?
Yep.
And so
Yeah.
that's one of those
Yeah.
things we've said no to.
yep.
So-
And you're not expanding intern housing, it's just being moved entirely. across
So the simple
street.
answer is, we're moving what was a 4-person program across the street. The place they were in were about 1,600 square feet or so. The new space is 2,000. There's room for one more bedroom, and we added that bedroom so we could have a 5th intern.
Okay.
But we're not doubling the size or create, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so it's basically modest growth in the size of the program, but otherwise, it's a 10-month program, just as it's always been, focused in the same arenas as it always has been, in the work of the school.
And are you gonna devote then some of those parking spaces for those interns, or how have you negotiated
Yeah.
that
I
parking
mean,
stuff?
I think I saw that in there, but what do you?
We typically ask staff, interns included, to park further away from campus, outside of the winter parking rules. We make some exception. If there's not coursework being hosted on campus, we allow them to park overnight in that parking lot. But otherwise, April 15th through November 15th, we ask them to park on 6th Avenue or beyond, just to keep those spaces open for the general public.
So the spaces in front of the building there will be for the interns or no?
They may be used for the interns in the wintertime for overnight parking when
Just
there's
clarifying.
more limitations to
Yeah.
overnight parking on the streets,
Yeah.
but, April 15th through November 15th especially, they park on the street further off, and those spots in front of the green building are reserved for visitors and people
Gotcha.
attending courses and people are going to Angry Trout or Fisherman's Daughter.
Okay, great. Yeah,
I don't
I
have
move
any-
we approve the variance.
Second.
all right. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll move
Thanks,
on to
guys.
Thank
city
you.
council.
Appreciate the questions.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
So that'll probably make the city council meeting,
I think it'll have to be the next,
on
not
the
tomorrow.
end of the month.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
Yep. See you, Greg. So, John. Here you are. Great. So we have your variance request here.
Yes, sir.
And, anything you wanted to say before we start asking questions?
Not that I can think of, I mean.
Okay. It's pretty.
Pretty
clear.
self-explanatory, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a couple questions. So the location of the garage would have to is gonna move back, it looks like to me, a bit.
A little bit, yes.
It's gonna move 5 feet back, is that right?
5 to 10. A lot of it has to do with what we find when we dig.
Okay,
There's a reason why the Forest Service built that garage down that far. I'm assuming there's bedrock pretty close by.
okay,
And so I'm kinda hedging my bets on what's there. And just more or less trying to center the garage on the lot,
okay, yeah.
to make it kind of blend in with everybody. And
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at some of the other garages and situations like that. It does seem like, having that garage out front there, it seems to happen throughout town.
And I definitely need a new garage, I mean.
I don't think there's a garage there now, if I,
No, it kind of disappeared, yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't last very long when I put it on Facebook Marketplace. It
Oh.
was-
there you go.
but yeah, it was just a single car garage and there's myself and my son and, you know, with each of us having vehicles, we need, you know, to get off the street and
Yeah.
more storage and stuff. But, you know, if I'm gonna build something, having some affordable housing
Yeah, so
would
I wanted
be
to ask
a
about
bonus.
that too. So is it, I mean, I'm only presuming it's like gonna be for it's like a single unit essentially?
Yeah, it would be, is it even 400 square feet, something like that,
Okay.
the upstairs. It'd be 12 feet wide by 32.
So then.
More along the lines of an efficiency apartment, I guess, but
Yeah, okay,
much more affordable than some of the other
yeah,
things that have been
right, and so
brought forward.
so as we look at the building, if we compare, I don't know if you can do this, but if we compare the area that's devoted to the garage and the area that's devoted to the apartment, how much would you say is going to each, just in round terms?
Well, the garage itself's footprint isn't even 800 square feet,
So it's 800 for the downstairs
and
and
then
then
400 for the up.
upstairs.
I mean, because you're talking a 12-12 pitch or 10-12.
Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, that kind of limits. I went to the 12 just so you can make sure you have an 8-foot ceiling
Got it,
in that upstairs.
okay.
But you gotta play a game with the knee walls and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm,
But
yeah,
I think it would look pretty good. And it wouldn't be, the height thing kind of caught me off guard because it was like, well, it's still not gonna be taller than my house because my house sits on the hill.
yeah, and I don't know, I feel like I understand the reason why they've got that in there, but this isn't that.
Right. Yeah, it's not like I'm trying to go past 35 feet or whatever it is. And
Yeah, and then I kind of, what I feel is really happening here, this is just my view, is that we have a garage where we're gonna have an ADU upstairs. So I'm not, you know, I know that we're talking about these three variances, but to me, it's more like, hey, somebody's building a garage, and then they are also adding an ADU. So it's not, you know, and as I was pointing out, it's substantially a garage. I mean, if we were thinking about where it's located on the property, its distances, all that kind of thing, in my view, I feel like, yeah, we've got a garage that happens to also have an apartment. And I'm not sure we could call the whole thing an ADU. I don't think that that's a fair characterization of that whole structure, right? So, anyway, those were kind of my questions and my reasoning, but you guys, I'm sure, have your own questions.
Were you planning on plumbing it, you know, the whole 9 yards?
Oh, yeah,
apartment?
it would be completely livable space. In-floor heat in the garage. Always wanted a garage with in-floor heat.
Sweet.
That'll be nice.
Oh. Is this better? I mean, I agree with you. It's substantially a garage. It's actually gaining feet from the road, from the old garage. It's not going to be higher than the house, unless you have anything, Ben.
I do. Well, I wanted to, I think this is like, at first I was looking at these different variances or whatever requested. I'm like, wow, man, like it looks really kind of complicated. But then you go and you look at the property and you look at and you go, well, this is actually like why we did ADUs, right? Like this is why we wanted to look at density. Like this is the perfect property to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's met all of these requirements. I mean, he's done everything reasonable. The height stuff, you can't put a mother-in-law suite or an ADU above a garage and then have it be lower than a single-story home. So that's unreasonable.
Right.
This is like, that's a no-brainer for me. As you indicated, he's moving further away than the garage was before. That's a no-brainer. So I'm in full support of it. The one question I've got is, do you have some off-street parking that's gonna be available for your tenant?
That was on my list, yep.
Yeah, I mean, the plan is to at least put well, you've been past my house, I'm sure, many times. Those 4 pine trees are going bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Will
so
you have
there's
like a
gonna be,
pad there?
Yeah, that's just it. There's gonna be an apron on the one side and there's gonna be, there'll be enough room, a lot better room now to pull off the street in front of the garage. If you're not in the garage, you can be to one side and be clear of the street, so you're not, dealing with the
Yeah.
snowplow guys.
How would you access that? I mean, I didn't look at the
It's an
plans very
interior
carefully.
stairwell.
Interior stairwell,
Yeah.
okay, great,
Yeah,
okay.
looked like it was
So
on
it's
the,
storm door, yeah, and then going in the garage.
Yeah, man door on the west
Gotcha,
side,
perfect.
yeah,
and it kinda goes up, hits the landing, and then,
Yeah, sweet.
yeah, and yeah, it's great. I mean, I like this especially, cause it's just regular people building housing. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would
I'll move to
entertain a
approve.
motion. Okay, have a motion
Second, I will second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you. We'll
Thank you very
see
much. I
See you at the end
appreciate
of the
it.
month at the
Yeah,
city.
at the city council.
So I have to be at that meeting too then?
You don't necessarily have to be, but we'd love to have you
Probably.
there and
Okay.
for other questions.
So I will
Yeah.
be next month.
It'll be at the end
End
of this
of
month,
this month.
last Wednesday of the month,
Yeah.
Okay,
if you're available.
Yep,
it should be.
yeah. Awesome. Oh. All right. We want you to have the gavel, like, that's what we wanna have. Yes, adjourned. Awesome.